As the sun begins to peek over the ridge in the distance, the final drops of morning dew still cling to the smooth skins of ripening grapes. In a quiet corner of the vineyard, the first snip of pruning shears breaks the silence. This is not an ordinary day. This is harvest day, the day when months of hard work, watering, pruning, and patient waiting finally come together in clusters so full and ripe, they seem ready to burst under the weight of the morning light. In the hand of the farmer is a sharp pair of shears, cutting through each grape stem with deliberate care. There's no rushing, no haste, because every cluster is a masterpiece. And every bunch is the product of a season's labor, of a family's commitment, of the earth's slow and generous giving. Not everyone has seen what a truly abundant grape harvest looks like. Some of these clusters are so large, they take to hands to hold. Grape after grape, densely packed like beads carefully sewn into the fabric of the land. A deep, rich purple glows with gemstone brilliance as the early light touches each surface. Every grape is taut, heavy, glistening, as though each one carries the memory of sun, soil, water, and time. The harvesters, often the very farmers who nurtured these vines, don't rely solely on color. They listen to the sound of grapes landing in a basket, feel the firmness between their fingers, breathe in the sweetness that rises from the fruit. This is not a mechanical harvest. It's intuitive. It's guided by hands trained through years of repetition, memory, and instinct. As the sun climbs higher, beads of sweat begin to form along the backs of shirts and under the brim of straw hats. Still, no one pauses. Each row of vines is visited, one after the other, and each cluster is removed by hand, no machines, no noise. Only the sound of rustling leaves, soft footsteps on dry grass, and the quiet rhythm of labor carried out with respect. Each full basket is brought to the edge of the vineyard, where others are waiting to sort. Grade 1, Grade 2. Each grape is laid carefully in trays, making sure not to bruise the skin or pull the stems. Because the buyers aren't just purchasing flavor, they're investing in the care, the respect, the dignity poured into every harvest. This isn't just fruit. This is pride. It's the result of months fighting off pests, managing drought, guarding against early rains and late frosts. And here, in this vineyard, the pride runs even deeper. These grapes are grown organically, no chemical pesticides, no artificial accelerants. That means every grape isn't just sweet, it's clean, safe down to the cell. A promise that the farmer has kept, even though it costs more, takes longer, and demands greater patience. By midday, when the sun has climbed over the treetops, the first baskets are ready for transport. Some are lifted onto trucks, others rolled out on carts. Boots are dusty, shirts are soaked, but the smiles remain. Because for these farmers, the true joy doesn't lie in counting crates. It's knowing that the season came full circle, that there was no flood, no storm, no lost crop, that the rhythm between sky and soil remained unbroken. As the sun matures overhead, the rhythm of harvest shifts from the quiet rows of vines to the shaded area at the edge of the vineyard. Here, under a canvas tarp and beside stacks of shallow crates, the next stage begins, sorting and preparing the grapes for their journey beyond the field. The freshly harvested baskets arrive one by one. Some are hand-carried. Others are pulled in carts with wheels worn smooth from seasons of use. Dust clings to boots, and shirts stick to tired backs. But the atmosphere is far from weary. There's a quiet pride that hangs in the air, the kind of pride only a good harvest can bring. One by one, each bunch is lifted gently, examined under dappled light. The workers here know exactly what to look for: full skins without blemishes, uniform color, perfect stems. A bunch that looks beautiful now will stay beautiful in transport. But if the grapes are soft, bruised, or loosely packed, they won't survive the road. This is a task of precision, of respect. Each imperfect cluster isn't discarded, but set aside with care. Some will be used for juice, some for drying, and others offered to neighbors or local schools. Nothing is wasted, because for the farmer, every grape still tells a story, even the ones that won't make it to market. The best of the best, the largest, fullest clusters, are arranged carefully in low crates lined with straw or soft paper. Rows are spaced just enough to prevent bruising, and crates are stacked no more than 3 high to preserve airflow. It's not just packaging, it's protection. These grapes have value not only in price, but in the labor they carry, hours under the sun, months of care, and years of experience passed from one generation to the next. Nearby, a logbook is opened. Pen meets paper, and with neat, practiced strokes, each crate is recorded. Weight, grade, destination. For a vineyard like this, family-run, rooted in tradition, the paper matters as much as the fruit. It's a record of the season's success, proof that the work was done, and done well. Before loading, the crates are misted lightly with cool water. Not enough to soak, just a whisper of moisture to keep the skins fresh in the heat. Then, under the guidance of a steady hand, each one is passed down the line and gently placed into the transport truck. Inside, the truck has been prepared. Cooling fans hum softly. The floor is clean and padded. In large operations, automation might handle this part, forklifts, sensors, and cold chains. But here, it's still human hands, still intuition, still an understanding of balance and weight earned through repetition. The destination is not far, a local distribution center, a morning market, perhaps even direct to customers who pre-ordered online. The grapes are still warm from the field, still smelling of sun and wind. There's no middleman here, just the earth, the grower, and the people who will soon taste the reward. But the harvest doesn't end when the truck pulls away. The field must be cleaned, tools washed, buckets stacked. There's always more to do. Yet for now, there's a rare pause, a moment where the vineyard is still again, the silence broken only by the breeze rustling through the empty vines. The older farmer, hands resting on his hips, looks over what remains. A few unpicked clusters hang in shadowed corners, left intentionally for the birds or to become raisins under the sun. It's a quiet offering to the land, a tradition in many parts of the world. You never take everything. You always leave something behind. For the farmer, this moment is as important as the harvest itself. It's the first breath after a long run, the first sip of water after hours in the sun, a time to walk the rows one last time and feel the soil underfoot, now bare, no longer hidden by fruit. He stops to run his fingers over a vine, rough bark, cool to the touch. This plant will rest now. Soon, it will be pruned, fed, and left to sleep until the next season calls it to wake. And the farmer too, though he won't rest long, takes this moment as a quiet thanks to the land, to the weather, to the unseen balance that made this harvest possible. Back at the sorting area, crates are cleaned, and leftover leaves swept into piles. The crew, mostly family, gathers under the tarp. Someone opens a cooler. Inside, cold tea, sweet rice cakes, and a few clusters of the finest grapes, saved for this very moment. They sit in a loose circle, shirts stained, arms scratched, smiles easy. No one speaks for a while. There's no need. The work is done. And in the silence, there is satisfaction. These are the moments most people never see. The in-between, the after, where pride replaces urgency, and the weight of labor gives way to the sweetness of what was earned. Soon, they'll begin again with pruning, planning, and new shoots. But not yet. Not today. Today was harvest. And it was a good one. As the late afternoon light spills across the vineyard in warm gold, a quiet stillness returns. The laughter has faded. The crates are gone. But in the hush of a completed harvest, something powerful remains, not just in the earth, but in the hearts of those who worked it. This vineyard, like many across the world, is more than rows of fruit and wire. It is memory. It is heritage. Each post driven into the soil once held the hands of the grower. Each vine remembers seasons of hardship and grace. And each harvest, though counted in weight and crates, is really measured in something deeper, time. Time passed between generations. Between first saplings and mature fruit. Between the first calloused hand of a grandfather and the younger hands now learning what it means to pull sweetness from the land. For the older farmer, every harvest marks more than a yield. It marks a moment in life's rhythm. He remembers seasons where the rains didn't come, when pests ravaged the leaves, when hope came close to slipping. But the vines endured. And so did he. He walks slowly now, not out of fatigue, but to feel every detail. The slope of the land. The smell of soil that is given generously. The creak of old wood underfoot. In his pocket is a pocket knife dulled by years of cutting stems and pruning life. In his mind, the names of all the workers who've passed through this place, brothers, cousins, neighbors, friends, each tied to a season, to a year of either plenty or loss. He stops before a vine with fruits still clinging to the ends, a small cluster, almost forgotten. Gently, he cuts it. Not to sell, not to weigh, but to keep. He'll take it home and place it on the kitchen table. A reminder that even the smallest bunch has value when raised with care. In the world beyond the vineyard, people will soon unwrap these grapes from brown paper or lift them from trays under supermarket lights. They will admire their size, their sheen, their taste, but they will not know how early the day began, how each grape was chosen, not just for color, but for spirit. They will not see the sweat that fell on leaves, or the quiet concentration in hands that never rushed. That is the nature of farming. It gives silently. It demands much and celebrates little. But for the farmer, that is enough. There is a reason older farmers speak of the land like a living partner, not as a possession, but as a presence, something they answer to, something they care for. In youth, they wrestle it into production, but in age, they learn to listen, to yield in order to receive. That wisdom, too, is harvested. The younger workers, perhaps sons or daughters, finish the last of the packing. They speak quickly, think ahead, focus on the next task. They haven't yet learned how rare a good season is, how fragile, but they will. And when they do, they'll remember the calm strength of the one who walked before them, not the biggest yields, but the surest hands. The ones who taught not just how to harvest grapes, but how to live with the land. As the sun begins to dip, a long shadow stretches across the field. The vines fall quiet, the air cools, and from the house nearby, a single light flickers on. Tomorrow, there will be more work, equipment to store, notes to record, soil to test. But for now, there is stillness, and that, in its own way, is sacred. The farmer washes his hands at the outdoor basin. Dirt swirls away, leaving clean skin beneath calluses earned long ago. He looks up at the rows of vines, now empty, now resting, and he smiles. Because this day was not just about grapes. It was about dignity, about honoring a craft that doesn't chase speed, but seeks connection. To the earth, to the food, to each other. Farming is not just a profession, it is a promise. A promise made every morning you step into the field, and every evening you leave it better than you found it. Today's grape harvest was not measured in weight alone, but in care, patience, and generations of skill passed quietly from hand to hand. In every vine trimmed, in every crate filled, lies the legacy of those who farm not just for profit, but for purpose. So whether you grow grapes, grains, or greens, remember this: the most important thing you raise is not the crop. It's the way you carry yourself through each season, with respect, with strength, and with the grace to let the land lead. If you felt something watching this story, a memory, a longing, or simply pride, share it, because the world needs to see what real farming looks like. And the next time you taste a grape, may you also taste the sun, the soil, and the quiet miracle of harvest.